Ladies and gentlemen, today I present to you a guide on how to win 4-star basic champions in Arena. This guide was put together with players in mind who maybe haven't competed in the basic arena before, have never won a champion in basic arena, people that maybe aren't in veteran bracket yet, they're not sure what bracket they're in, and you're wondering how you would go about it. So if you have any questions, what sort of cutoff should I expect for this champion, would I be able to win an arena with the champions I have, all those sorts of questions will be answered today. Winning a basic champion is not impossible, but it will not happen by accident. There's a lot of work that goes into winning the basic champion, and today I'm going to show you some of the techniques that I personally use and strategies that I use to help me win a champion from Arena. So before I start any arena, there's always 4 questions that I ask myself in order to determine whether or not it will be possible for me to win that champion. First of all, the very first question I ask myself is, what champion am I going for? Before you start any arena matches, it's fundamentally important to know whether or not that champion you are aiming for is realistically achievable. Now I say this because depending on how new or popular the champion is, the score that you will need to reach that champion in the arena will drastically change. For example, recently Joe Fixit could be won for just over 1.5 million in the veteran arena, whereas Hyperion, who is regarded as one of the strongest champions in the game, could be won for scores over 6.42 million. Now that is more than 4 times what we needed to win Joe Fixit. So before we go any further, it is important that you know which bracket you will be competing in. There are 3 different brackets for Arena. Number 1 is a beginner's bracket. If you have played the game for less than 1 month, this is your bracket. Number 2, players that have played between 1 month and 60 days. And then finally 3, after 61 days you enter the veteran bracket. So generally speaking, what sort of cutoffs should we be looking at in each bracket? Well, for bracket number 1, which is the beginner's bracket of less than 30 days, around 450,000 to 700,000 on average should net you that champion. For bracket 2, we're talking about 1.2 to 1.6 million. And finally for bracket 3, on average around 2.5 to 6. However, Joe Fixit, as he was a very undesired champion, went for a lot less than 2.5. After you decide which champion you are going for, it's time to have a look at what champions you're using. This is the part that will be totally different for most players. For newer players, you may have less champions at a range of different PIs, which is power indexes, whereas for players moving into the intermediate bracket of around 60 days or veteran, you should have a lot bigger roster to work with. Ask yourself whether you really do have enough champions for the 4-star basic arena. If you wish to use the infinite streak method, I would highly suggest that you have at least 8 teams of 3 champions all above 1600 PI. That is a total of 24 champions above 1600 PI, which can take some time to build. So you have your champions, you know who you're going for, but how much time do you have to put in? After using each champion, a timer is placed on it, meaning you cannot reuse that champion for 2 hours. Unless you spend units to refresh, which I highly advise not unless totally necessary. It is very important to grasp how many runs through all of your champions you can do per day. And when I say run, I mean using every champion that you possibly can in Arena to gather points. Can you do 2 full champion runs per day? Can you do 3? Based upon this information, we can try and estimate the points you can score. Doing 1 full run of your champions prior to the Arena is extremely important. Make sure you do not use boosts. So with the score of your full run through, and how many times you expect to play per day over the course of the 3 days, we can then work out roughly how much you would hope to score in the actual arena itself. Also, it's a very good idea to time yourself whilst you're doing the arena. You can then work out how long you have left before you can expect to go back in and do another run through. So, for example, if you can play the arena 3 times a day, and on your first run through of your full roster you score 250,000 points, then you can expect to score close to around 750,000 over the course of the full day if you do your 3 runs. Now that is just 1 day, so we have to times that by 3 once more in order to work out what we can expect to score over the course of 3 days. So on day number 1, we have done 3 runs of 250,000 and scored 750,000. That means if we do the exact same thing for the other 2 days, then we can expect to score 3 times 750,000 points, which works out at 2.25 million. Now this score can change drastically based on boosts and multiplier. Multiplier is a very important factor and you will want to keep that at 3 as much as you possibly can. Also, remember, if you're struggling to keep a multiplier of 3, save your 3 multiplier for your best champions to maximise the points that you can make from Arena. Well, thank you for watching my guide on how to win a 4-star basic from Arena. I know this might contain a lot of new information to you, or information you might not have heard before, so take your time, look over it a few times before you start your run in Arena. If this guide has helped you win a 4-star basic haul, please do come back and let me know in the comments as to what champion you have managed to win. Also, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave a comment below and I will do my best to respond whenever I can. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here very soon for another guide. Thank you.